Out of the entire crypto market, there is one ecosystem that is gaining an unusual amount of attention for how small it currently is. And that, of course, is Base. Now, I'm going to touch on altcoins today that I think everyone should at least own one of before the next bull run kicks off, or before January at least. I think these prices are about to go insane because Coinbase is looking to do one very important thing that I think they'll really hit the nail on the head with in the next year. So altcoins are, of course, in their alt season right now. Whether we go up or down from the official alt season mark, I don't care. And as a matter of fact, I would like altcoins to take a step back for even a bit longer and Bitcoin to take the charge, because believe it or not, the longer we kind of move sideways here and the longer that Bitcoin takes charge and brings more people in, as long as these altcoins are quality, which I believe they of course are, we're going to inch up like with render here over time, until eventually we get to a price when the narrative pump happens, these coins are going to go parabolic. I'd much rather have a narrative pump in render, for example here, starting at $20 and going to $150, but then starting at $10 and maybe going to $120. There is just simply a better starting point. And so why are we even talking about Base? Well, of course, Base is Coinbase's official network. It's a layer 2 on Ethereum, and its major competitor here, Binance, have a layer 1. Now, Binance's layer 1 is a $102 million market cap. The difference between these two, though, is that Coinbase have stated officially they will not launch a Base token. Now, if you think about it, a lot of speculation and demand for Binance that came into the ecosystem was absorbed by the main project. Currently, that's about $102 billion worth of speculation. And like I said, if there's no Base token, that means all of the interest that ever comes in and around the Base ecosystem will solely go and be absorbed by the actual ecosystem projects themselves. And like we can see on chain, Base right now is onboarding an insane amount of new users and fresh new users to crypto, which is a whole part of what they're trying to do, bring in new money under the premise of making it very easy and with the least friction as possible. They've had 1.5 million new users, brand new, fresh to crypto over the last couple months. Now, as this report states, the claim to fame by Coinbase here is to bring and onboard 1 billion users to crypto. But right now, that would take them about 121 years. Even if we forecast some 10xing of growth, it's still going to take 12 years. So what this report says, and what I do agree with here, is Coinbase is going to have to focus and niche down into bringing on users for specific use cases, which I definitely do think will be institutional grade DeFi and tokenization / real world assets. And I think this is going to be very easy for Coinbase to be able to obtain, because recently the new chairman of the SEC here is actually on the board for Securitize. Securitize is the transfer agent and partly owned by BlackRock. And what has BlackRock recently done? They've tokenized a bunch of US treasuries under the Build-All Fund. So BlackRock is pro-tokenization. We've all seen the clips of the CEO, Larry Fink, talking about how they're going to tokenize the entire stock market. So there is an absolute huge incentive for Paul Atkins to push tokenization into the government. And of course, it's just generally a pro-crypto administration anyway. We know Coinbase is already trying to tackle this tokenization market here. They already serve as the custodian for BlackRock's ETF, as well as many other ETF providers as well. So what does all this mean? Well, essentially, you have a direct connection here to the US government. The SEC chairman, Paul Atkins, isn't just pro-crypto, he's pro-tokenization. You have this really pro-tokenization guy in the US government here that is going to have a lot of say over how loose or tight the regulation is around this market. But also you have Coinbase being the custodian for almost all of the ETF providers for Bitcoin. So you have the connections to the government, you have connections to, of course, institutions, you have this centralization amongst this whole entire narrative. And because they have the introduction of smart wallets here, which is a very easy way people can actually create a non-custodial account and manage that, as well as the recent integration here with Apple Pay, it just makes sense. To bring on new users, you're attracting the biggest narrative and making it very easy for them to buy into that narrative. So this is exactly the reason why I'm focusing and doubling down today on DeFi / kind of loosely RWA coins. It just makes the most amount of sense, at least in the Base ecosystem itself, right? Now, one more thing before I get into it, guys, do not forget, if you find yourself enjoying this content, learning something new, or like the picks, to hit that like button. It actually means a lot to me, helps support all the hard work that goes into these videos every day. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button. It's going to help you a lot in this cycle. Now, Base is already a standout project when it comes to total value locked, which we can kind of attribute to a possible growth in real-world assets / DeFi, okay? They're over here at rank 5 right now. They've gained about 40% in terms of the TVL in the last month, which is some of the highest out of any other layer 1 or layer 2 in the space. They're about 4 billion TVL, and I do see them actually overtaking the Binance Smart Chain because of this approach to the narrative and ease of access to traditional people from Web 2. Now, I think interest for Base right now is nowhere to be seen, at least compared to the early parts of this year, because we aren't anywhere near the growth we had for fees. Fees are a great way for us to have a glimpse into the overall interest and demand in a particular layer 1 or layer 2. Now, my first pick here is Aerodrome Finance. Now, I get it, right? You're thinking, Kyron, we hear in every single Base top altcoin video, Aerodrome being mentioned. I understand that, but it's for a very good reason. If you didn't understand what I just said in the last 5 minutes, it's because Base is focusing on the exact market Aerodrome is trying to attack. Not only that, it's the de facto DEX on Base, which means everyone uses Aerodrome to get into the Base ecosystem. So it is an absolute no-brainer. Now, at $2, you might think it's overvalued, all-time high, all the rest of it, which obviously don't buy the bloody tops. But considering the growth we have here, it's only a 1.5 billion market cap coin. If you didn't do what we were doing and buying this coin between 50 and 60 cents, there's a lot of room to grow. I think this coin could likely go to a reasonable 10 to 20 billion market cap. The reason being is because we haven't even had the market cap flip its TVL of a whopping $1.7 billion just yet. We always see this happen for quality projects or particularly quality DEXs in the heat of a bull run, like Uniswap from the last cycle, right? This went from a big disparity between the market cap and TVL, pretty much about a 5 to a 6x difference, to, as you can see here, this flipping moment where the market cap overshot the TVL in the lead up for the massive bull run. This has yet to happen for Aerodrome just yet. Even a more direct competitor, the de facto DEX from the last cycle for Binance Smart Chain, which was PancakeSwap, this went to a whopping about $7 billion in market cap. Now, again, Base is simply positioning itself to allow Aerodrome to take more advantage of some big narratives here. So overall, I think Aerodrome is in a much better position, and that's why I've personally invested quite a bit of money in Aerodrome. Now, if that wasn't enough to say, oh wow, this is pretty impressive here, it's also highly ranked in terms of the revenue made in the project. It oftentimes, some weeks and some months, ranks higher than every other layer 1, including Ethereum, in terms of the revenue. And the revenue, mind you, is all given back to these guys, us, the token holders. Now, on this page, you can see, well, obviously it doesn't look too good, right? It's very centralized by first glance, but if you know how crypto works, you'll be able to read this token holder page, and the first 3 entities or the addresses here, they're actually owned by Aerodrome themselves. So these are locked up tokens, okay? They aren't actually owned by anyone that can dump them. And as a matter of fact, they actually have 220,000 on-chain holders, which is a lot for a newish project. And again, that's just on chain. So there's a lot more to still come. And we know there is because even Coinbase themselves are buying this on the open market. Even this guy, Michael Collins, who is a congressman in the United States government, is actually buying Aerodrome on the market. Okay. So what does he know? What does Base know that we don't know? And I'm starting to think, again, given what I just mentioned and spent the better half of the video on talking about here, it's that Base is positioning to take advantage of RWA, tokenization, and DeFi. And the next coin I have to talk to you about here is similar to Aerodrome. It's a DeFi play, but rather than being a decentralized exchange, it's focusing on being a lending platform. Now, you guys know me, right? I like to buy the larger caps at this point in the cycle. The lowest I like to go, unless the coin is very, very strong, is about $500 million-ish. This is one I recently bought and we're buying a lot more of, which is Morpho. Morpho is a decentralized lending and borrowing platform. Now, this coin is a 300 mil market, but this coin is unique. Why? Because they're redefining the way in which lenders and borrowers interact together on chain. So I won't talk too much about how Morpho actually works. I've got a video coming out in a few days on this coin specifically because it is so unique. But all you have to know for lenders is that they create these things called vaults. So if you're lending up your capital for people to borrow, you can actually customize exactly where those funds are sent to. So if you're depositing as a lender, so to speak, you have curated risk, all right? So you're not exposed to areas or coins coins that you don't want to be, which is particularly suitable, of course, for, you might have guessed it, institutions, right? Which, of course, is a big up for Base, and that's why I'm a really big bull on potentially Morpho here being a major player in this ecosystem. Also, as a borrower yourself, you have lower costs and lower fees. You can, of course, borrow out in any asset, and also it creates a higher, longer loan-to-value ratio, which just means it takes a little bit more for you to be liquidated on your position. So I'm interested in this coin because of the TVL. The TVL is $3 billion right now. $3 billion. Okay, and the market cap is under 300 million. There's a massive ratio here. And like I said before, if Uniswap, if Aerodrome were anything to say about this, if this flips, it's going to be an absolute massive multiple project for this cycle. They haven't even actually turned on the protocol fees just yet either. This is a very new coin. This is only a few weeks old. They've been around for a while, but they've only recently allowed their token to be transferable. Okay, so when they eventually turn this on via governance, which I think they will do here very soon, the project will then be earning revenue. And when it earns revenue, depending on how that's distributed, it'll be able to really market itself and push itself out there. They've got partners like Pith, allowing them to have the most up-to-date, instant price feeds available, which is very important when it comes to a lending and borrowing platform. And they have around about 20,000 overall holders between their contract on Base and their contract on Ethereum. They are on both. Now, the holders charts look very centralized, as it did with Aerodrome, but just like Aerodrome, this is all project-associated contract addresses. Most of them inside the top 10 are. So actually, if you have a look at this, it's very decentralized. These guys also have had $68 million in funding across 3 different rounds you can see here, led by some massive investors. Now, it's important to note as well that these rounds, well, at least the last round, happened a few months ago, about in August of 2024. So what this means is these investors aren't getting in likely at dirt cheap prices and probably would have got in somewhere around where the price initially tanked to after the token became transferable. I'm thinking around 50 cents to $1. This usually happens for projects that already are established and quality. So the quality investors here include S-tier investors, Coinbase, Pantera, IOSG, A16Z, and a whole bunch of others. Now, as for the unlock itself, the unlocks kind of seem a little bit daunting. Have a look at the chart over here. There is a few more tokens to come out. With the current circulating supply being around 11 or so percent, we're only going to be seeing about a 30% unlock by the latest time we decide to sell in December of 2025. Likely more so around 20%. So either way, yes, there'll be some possible sell pressure from investors over here, but nothing too intense. And again, I think the overall quality here will likely surpass any sort of dilution the project has in sell-offs. Now, before I get into my last pick, I do have an honorable mention, which is Moonwell. I didn't add Moonwell, but I want to talk about it because Moonwell, of course, is right up the alley in which the tokenization DeFi space that Base is trying to perpetuate for the cycle here, but I haven't actually added it. The reason being is because I just haven't done up-to-date recent research on Moonwell. Okay, I actually mentioned this in a video I made over 12 months ago, August of 2023, as a possible pick before the big bull run we'd find, in the next year or so. But ultimately, guys, that was back then. I'm very upfront and honest. If I don't research the coin, I don't want to talk about the coin because I haven't done it. But I can't deny the fact that this coin is making moves and people are very interested in it. And again, it is a smaller cap project. So in my opinion, based on what I know right now, I would much rather go with a coin like Morpho. One of the main reasons being is that, of course, the TVL here on Moonwell is still quite impressive, but it's around the same, if not just under its current TVL. So about 300 mil TVL, about 300 mil market cap versus a 3 billion TVL on Morpho and a 300 mil market cap. The last project is going to move away from the obvious tokenization real world asset DeFi play, and it's going to move into an area I think that this project really dominates the Base ecosystem on, and it's regarding AI. Okay, obviously AI is a massive narrative, so when you pair it with the Base ecosystem narrative, it could do really well. Given the fact that AI right now in the relative strength department is doing quite well, it's definitely giving me it'll pump next vibes. And so with that said, the pick here is Spectral. I've mentioned Spectral quite a few times, and again, just like Morpho, just like AERO, I do own the coin, full disclosure. And the reason why, again, it's a very, very small market cap, but I think it is the main play for AI on Base right now. It's also heavy into the AI agent narrative. And as you can see from the price, it hasn't pumped up some crazy high numbers. Matter of fact, it's pretty much only up at 2x right now. So again, high upside. Now, one notable thing about Spectral as well is they are hitting the AI meme coin narrative as well, which is kind of a flourishing narrative. I don't particularly have much interest in this myself right now, but you can't deny it's going to be a pretty big narrative. And of course, the more narratives, the better. That's a big tick in my opinion. Now, you can create your own AI agent with this project and actually use it to do things like query a specific token address on a different network and get a whole bunch of information on it. You can do things like maybe get it to analyze sentiment on a particular coin's Twitter account and then use that to go ahead and buy that token if other variables are also met. So to give you some idea of what I'm talking about here, here's where you actually go ahead and can either use other people's agents or again, go ahead and create your own. But some awesome features that I really wanted to point out here that have use case for Spectral is things like creating an AI agent that allows you to buy ETH every time the 9-day SMA crosses over with the 100-day SMA, but then go ahead and get it to only execute if Twitter sentiment is positive, right? So like I said before, you can really customize these agents to even trade for you under very specific parameters. Another thing here is going to be inter-agent communication. So essentially allowing Spectral to branch out across many different ecosystems so you just have more possibilities and more reach. Another one here is on-chain gaming agents. So creating agents that will allow you to play several on-chain games at the same time and do things like earn rewards, NFTs, all the rest of it, even going as far as actually entering chat rooms. Like very dystopian, crazy sounding stuff here, but of course it's going to benefit us if you can create a very interesting agent on Spectral. It's going to bring in a lot of people and interest to want to use the agent, of course, therefore bringing in interest for Spectral itself. In the way of, possible catalysts for this coin to pop off as well, I did want to mention the possibility here, the very small possibility that these guys might get picked up by ASI. Now, I don't think that ASI will want to merge with Spectral, given that the last merge attempt went so horribly south. But what I see happening here is them partnering on some pretty important things. Okay, so it's something I at least wanted to bring up because if there is some sort of news that this is happening, of course, it's going to really boost up Spectral's price. Also, given the fact that it might launch on a new exchange, okay, a centralized exchange like Binance, for example, or even Coinbase. A lot of these prime ecosystem plays, if they're not on Coinbase just yet, we can damn well bet, given a bit of traction, that it might launch on Coinbase, given a whole bunch of new interest, like you can see here, Aerodrome already is. Now, I want to mention Spectral has had a recent hack, so it has been hacked, but they have rectified that and things look to be back in order again. They are, though, getting a lot of engagements per tweet, which is good. Organic engagements, by the look of it as well. Around 300 to 400 likes per post, which for a small coin like this, believe you me, is very good. Many of these projects end up botting their likes, and it's very obvious, and it's very unappealing to me because there's no community. If there's no community or organic likes and organic engagement, then the price just won't pump. It'll look like it might, but it just won't. So just like Morpho, these guys have really good backers, okay? We can see here that they've had backing from Circle, so that's the Circle, right? The USDC issuer, Jump Capital, and Samsung themselves. Also, Franklin Templeton has also invested in these guys. Polychain, Galaxy Digital, so they've got a lot of really, really good investors. Like all of those are pretty much S-tier investors in my personal opinion. And as for the unlock schedule, or the latest we're possibly going to be selling here, is going to be about a 30% unlock. So from the current give or take 13 to 14% we're at right now, it's only going to be diluted around about 2x, just like Morpho. And yes, you can argue, well, a lot of this is going to be going to the investors. That's absolutely true. But just like any other project out there, they're not going to want to dump their tokens and kill the quality of the coin, the seeming quality of the coin, because they get maybe 10% of their tokens. They're going to wait for the very last moment of the bull run to do that, or just shave some off as the interest begins to pick up for the coin, take profit as things begin to pick up. Guys, these are my 3 picks. Again, full disclosure, I own all these 3 coins because I put my money where my mouth is. I can talk about coins I don't buy, but what the hell is the point of that, right? With that being said, let me know what you think about these picks down below. Let me know what you think about the base ecosystem as a whole, and are you investing in this area? Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.